Hi, Rogers. Can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. You're still watching Digital TV, and the program that you're watching is called The Interface. It happens every Friday, starting from 12 to 2 p.m. We're always having a conversation with Dr. Kizza Besigye right here, and of course it's always a candid conversation. Continue to send in your messages. I've seen Duguse and other colleagues continue sending in those messages. If you have feedback on the contentious coffee bill, you can also send your particular feedback. And if you have also a question that you feel Dr. Kizza Besigye should respond to, feel free to also send in those remarks. I'll start with you, Ivan Duguse. You say, good afternoon, moderator. Good afternoon to you. Please greet for me Dr. Kizza Besigye. Tell him that I treasure him so much. Ugandans miss him so much, he should come back to stand for presidency. If it means peace talks with the regime, let him do. Because really, per now, he would have been the president of Uganda. Perhaps we wouldn't have been suffering in these foreign countries. I'm Ivan Duguse here in Spain. Thank you so much for watching, Ivan from Spain. Thank you so much for watching. Then there is Kim Kale, Uganda Olemwa, Gista watching live from Rugunjiri. Then Habad Namanya, you said, bring the critical issues such that masses can support you like before. Sell ideas that can handle or heal people's discomfort, mistreatment, misfortune, and unequal treatment. Then this one says, the only solution we have as Ugandans is Dr. Besigye. He is brave and eloquent. He should come and save us from the brutal regime. Without you, we are disappointed. Continue sending in those messages. I will be reading more of them as we continue with the program. Doctor, maybe you can respond to Nduguse. Nduguse says that, what about if you tried to have peace talks with the regime? Isn't that something you look forward to?
You see, I'm not at war with the regime myself. I am, it's the people of you. It's not just me who is suffering, who needs peace talks. if there were to be peace talks, it should be the public versus, like I have talked about the coffee. People have been saying, don't do this, he goes ahead and do it. But we have discussed the various ways to have change. And I thought that by now, people had already been convinced that, you won't persuade whoever captured your power to give it back to you simply because you have talked. No, it won't happen. If you think you can talk Museveni out of power, you are missing the point. It won't happen. He captured that power by force. He's keeping it by force. And it is force which will make him, it is the force of the people which will make him relinquish it. There can be talks when he realizes that the force he faces cannot be dispersed. Yes, if he realizes that this force will take me, he can then seek to negotiate his way out.
The same issue he said about Obote when they asked him if he can dialogue with Obote. He says he has to listen to us and feel our strength.
That's so absolutely. Whoever that's
exactly the same thing.
Yes, and he has been very candid about it. That's why he has been saying, I came through the furnace. I will not just go away. So you won't wish him away. He won't just go. This is why I'm saying that those people who walked out of parliament have a burden on their shoulders. Whether they just want to, coil and go back to captivity, or whether they have now made up their mind to invite the people to work together for their liberation. Because that's what the country must go through now. It's a question of, who makes up their mind to fight for their liberation. If they are not, and they are, just going along with those who are captive, then the people are on their own. The people must also decide how they fare on their own. Okay. So we are coming to that critical moment. It will not involve talking to Museveni when he is considering that everything is under his control. As it is, he can order Parliament to do what he wants. He can order the judges to reverse decisions of court. He can order the military to do what he wants. He can order the police to do. So why would he just say, okay, now I hear you, here is your power, and he walks away? That cannot happen. So that's why I'm saying that it will take a struggle by the people to free themselves, to regain the power the Constitution talks about. What happened yesterday shows that they are irrelevant.
Okay,
power is not with the people. They are irrelevant.
Let's go back.
Parliament is not with the power. It is irrelevant. So this is a critical moment. Having had that demonstration that you are irrelevant, it's a defining moment. Decide what to do. And if we don't do anything, and we may fail to do anything, indeed, because I always hear people say, you Besigye, what are you doing? It's not about just Besigye. It's all of us. The consequences are for all of us. If we don't do anything, I told you, every day there are consequences. Whether it's what is happening on our roads, whether it is what's happening in our hospitals, whether it is what's happening to our children in those schools, whether there are consequences.
Okay, Doctor, let's go
If
back.
we don't act quickly enough, the consequences will overwhelm us and make it impossible to ever do anything.
Okay, let me go back to the issue of coffee. Mr. Museveni, according to his address yesterday, he termed it as a nonsensical debate. It's nonsensical to be talking about coffee. He says when he came to power, there were only 4 cash crops literally in this country, but he made sure that the cash crops are now too many. The maize, the bananas, everything is now a cash crop. And he says, us dwelling on just coffee and saying that he wants to gain from it, it's nonsensical.
But who is dwelling on it? I thought he's the one who brought the law.
And he says it's general, it's working on everywhere. But you people have stayed on coffee.
Because the people who have stayed on coffee are the ones who have interest in coffee. I'm sure the ones who don't have interest in coffee are not staying on coffee, but they are not few. A whole lot of people have their livelihoods linked to coffee. You see, and I would excuse him that he doesn't know, because he has never.
Sure, he's the first citizen.
Yeah, but he has never depended on coffee. He's indeed proudly saying, his life is cattle. And that's why he goes to show people his cattle. But like me, I grew up on a coffee farm. I grew up on a coffee store. My father was a coffee trader. One of the, I think he was possibly the largest coffee trader in our small area in Rukunjiri. And he had many coffee stores. And our coffee farm was also not very small. So I grew up doing coffee work, pruning the coffee trees, harvesting, drying, and packing, and so on. And I know the benefit from coffee, therefore. And when we grew up, that was after independence, we would bring our coffee up to Masaka, where there were coffee processors, and it would be processed there by our people, by Ugandans, and then taken further, where it would be exported. So the loss, and this is why I'm, rather surprised that people have just woken up to UCDA when we have lost all that gradually while people were quiet. That all the coffee processing, the coffee buying, the export and so on was all taken over from us by foreigners. The biggest coffee exporters now are from Germany, from Singapore, from Switzerland, they are the ones buying, even in the villages, they are the ones buying, processing, and taking outside. Of course, in cahoots, in conjunction with the family members. And that is what we need to tackle, Yes, the UCDA has had the benefit of people enjoying high prices now,
yes, sir.
Which is a temporary thing, because the high prices are caused by failure of the biggest coffee producer, Brazil and Vietnam, who have problems now and are not in the market. So our coffee, even with all these people who control the most juicy bit, our farmers are seeing some life because there is more money percolating to them.
Which is not much, but...
No, it's of course not much. The biggest benefit is being taken by all these people I have talked about. The Germans, the Swiss, the Singaporeans, the Belgians, they are the ones who are siphoning off the biggest benefit out of all this. And yes, we must really fight back. But you see, Mr. Museveni has very deliberately, very progressively captured the whole economy. I've told you it's not just coffee. It's the whole economy, whether it's minerals, whether it is produce, whether it is sugar cane, whether it is what, you know, the capture of the economy.
Everybody still wonders who's the one behind the gold, because we see a lot of gold exports in this budget, but we never see the gold itself.
Yes,
who's behind
but
gold?
check, you'll find it's his family which is involved with the coffee gold refinery that is in Entebbe. It is his family. So, and all other things. So the question is whether, you know, and this is why, you know, again, the family, Rwawogo, is talking about rationalization, you know. What is Rwawogo and his advisory committee on exports doing in the State House? Because there is a Ministry of Trade, there is export promotion board for promoting exports. So what is Rwawogo? So this is why this whole thing is not about rationalization. Because the people who should be doing things in trade don't even get money. Rwawogo gets billions of shillings.
But even the idea of rationalization came from General Kalibak.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's just
that's where it originated from.
Absolutely, it's a family thing. It has nothing to do with rationalization. I have pointed out that the real reasons for breaking down UCDA are two. The first one is to use the money that UCDA has been using. And he has been openly complaining about that, saying 3,000 employees are taking these billions of shillings, while the ministry, who are so many people, are taking you know, less money. So it's that money which is in UCDA that he needs now.
Yeah, to add to other sectors that need the money. He said maybe 1.5 trillion.
It's not to the sectors, it is to the survival of the government as a whole. Because as I have pointed out, he has to borrow everything. So this money in the coffee is a tax on coffee exports. And he wants it for his government to survive. Because the taxes for this year, as I have pointed out, cannot even meet the debt servicing alone.
Yes, that is very true.
So he needs that money badly that is in these agencies. He needs it.
So, and that's
for the survival.
Because it's not only coffee. The UNRWA has also been by the much.
Yes, he needs that money.
Also in the UNRWA, it's the same.
Yes, yes. So he needs the money. He needs the money really badly.
Okay.
For survival. So whether what these people were doing collapses or not, he wants to survive, to fight another day. So he needs money so badly. And these agencies have some money they use, which he wants. Of course, the people who will be made redundant will have to be paid, but they can spend 10 years in courts and so on. It's not anything urgent. So the first real intention is the money. But the second intention is to get at his opposition. And that's where this whole thing of this baganda comes from.
That was said by the Speaker of Parliament.
Yes.
You're putting it on Mr. Museveni?
No, wherever it came from. Mr. Anita, Anita has nothing against the baganda. Anita is just Anita, also trying to survive. for all intents and purposes. And she has done very well in doing
She's
that.
also hustling.
Yes, yeah, she has done very well in doing that.
You're watching the interface.
But she's a pawn for all intents and purposes. She's also a pawn. And she's airing out what comes from the Muppet.
Some say there is no better speaker she has seen in Parliament.
Yes,
than the one
and
of
he's
Anita.
right. He's right. You know, she's done his bidding very well. You know.
Okay.
So, but you see, Museveni has a grievance against the Baganda because they have rejected him, and that is the biggest crime you can do to him. They have rejected him. The Acholi Langi rejected him, and what happened to them, they are still suffering from. The Itesot rejected him, and they were roasted. The Banyarwenzururu in Kasese rejected him, and they are in mass graves. So the Baganda, having rejected him, he will do everything to get back at them. And as I have said, one of the things is he will try to disrupt their means of subsistence, of survival, to the extent that he can, and beyond. That is only the beginning. Yes. And so I think, you know, taking over what is billed as a source of wealth in Buganda is going to be one of the ways that is coming.
You've made it a tribal thing.
That is, it's not tribal. I'm not making it tribal. I'm making it power thing. It's a rejection. It's a rejection from the Acholis.
From Museveni, you're saying it is a bit tribal when you say that Baganda.
No, he's not tribal. He will crush everybody who rejects him. So he crushed the Acholi, and the other people were quiet. He crushed the Langi, he crushed the Iteso, he crushed the Banyarwenzururu, he crushed, so he will crush.
Even if it was Bunyoro, Ankole.
Absolutely, and he will crush them also. It's not so, you know, whether you call it tribe or not, any group that, and you see, really, calling these blocks in Uganda tribes is a misrepresentation. They are nations. We are a multinational country. We were different nations. Baganda was a nation of its own.
Yeah.
You know,
Bunyoro.
in fact, with different kinds of people within there.
Yeah, but it was a nation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so was Nkole, so was Bunyoro, so these are, we are a multinational country.
Okay.
And that's why there are different interests in different areas of the country.
Okay, sir.
An argument that has been eloquently made by people who have been demanding for a federal system of government, which was indeed the system of government at independence. You know, so whichever group resists him, because for him, he wants to create Uganda into one kingdom, that he's the king.
Republic. One republic.
One kingdom. I'm giving you my own.
Yes, sir.
So, and he is already the king of Uganda, the Sabagabe. He is the. He refers to himself also as the Sabagabe.
What's Sabarwanyi?
He's a Sabagabe comes from Sabarwanyi, using force to create the kingdom. So he's the Sabagabe. He's the king of kings. He's there. But So these kings must pay homage, must to him, and must listen to what the Sabagabe says. If they reject him, then he must crush them, as he has been loudly threatening. He must crush them to submit to his authority. So this is the reality of what we are dealing with. It's not UCDA, it's not. It's the money for survival now, which these agencies use. He wants it for his survival because he has no money to use.
Okay. Also, just comment on the issue of how Mr. Museveni brands people, especially because you've hinted on it, that when you are not in line with what he believes in, he will dub you a certain thing. For example, he call you a terrorist. In this scenario, the MPs were trying to refuse this bill. He called them criminals. You've had him name people, things, putting you in a certain cult.
Criminalize, yeah. He criminalizes any opposition. That is standard.
When Baganda didn't vote, he said they are tribalistic.
Yeah, if any opposition is criminalized. That's why I have been in jail countless times, charged with all kinds of things. Any form of potent opposition is a crime. And I think because he you see, once somebody has or considers himself to have all power,
yes, sir,
then obviously trying to assert your will is subversive. You know, so in other words, he is running Uganda on a different constitution from the one that is written. In his Uganda, he is the monarch. But it's not in our constitution. So that misunderstanding is what he tries to deal with without saying so. You see?
Yes, sir.
And
what next then? What next? Because it feels like 40 years down the road, these things have been happening and you've commented on them. But what next?
Well, what next is what I'm saying, that there is a defining moment now.
Yes, sir.
Either we fight to regain control over the country and have the power to the people, or the country will be taken from us and we will become, irrelevant people that will be enslaved and will become extinct at some stage. Those are the dire options that exist as we talk now.
And people are impoverished like nothing. How can impoverished people fight for their power?
Oh,
when they are that broke, you feel how it is. How do you empower such a man to fight?
You see, that is really not a serious question. Because when we were colonized, who had money? How did we get out of colonial control when we had no money? Because all the money and the forms of money that were introduced by the British, controlled by the British.
But you had a voice outside Uganda that was crying for a wave of decolonization, of independence. And also when it comes to, for example, fighting the dictators, they call dictators that we had, you had support from people who had the money themselves. Let's look at the people right now, Doctor. You're telling someone to say, advocate for
what money did Museveni have in Ruwero?
He had support.
Yes. So money is not...
That's the support. Okay, let me call it support.
But the support is the people. This is why I'm saying that the population is the support. And it is there. You see? The only thing is, what are they doing to assert their will? You see? You must take action. He must take action. Like Museveni indeed went, he had no money, he had even no forces. He went and asked people to support him to assert their will. And they did. And here he is. That's why I'm saying that those people who walked out of parliament, there is a test for them. Are they walking out the usual way, just moving out? When such a thing has just happened, are they just again walking out and casually moving back and life continues? Or you don't need money. All you need is your voice to articulate what the problem is and people to, because if you
But
need...
you know, people know these things. And I hope you understand that people understand the problems they have. And they have experienced these problems. And they know them very well. But why don't they just stand up?
You see, people will stand up, but they need leadership. And it's a missing link. This is what I think we have failed. Yes, and we have failed. That's what is still a missing link. And that's what I'm calling for. I'm saying, you know, are we again going to be fudging around this defining moment? That's a question we need to ask ourselves and to answer, you know, because, you know, Mr. Museveni and his mission cannot be any more clearer than it is today. It is as clear as possible, you know.
Yes, sir.
What he's doing, how he's doing it, it's clear to everybody. So the question is, what are you doing yourselves? Who see this, who don't like it, what are you doing? So the challenge is right on our table.
Okay. Thank you so much. John Bosco Tuhaire, thank you so much for watching. You say thanks for the show, watching from Kirupura. Then there is Carl Marshall. Thank you so much for watching. You say Kano is a true patriot of his mother, of this motherland of ours. He surely deserves to hold the helm of this great nation. Thank you so much for watching. I don't know, Doctor, if you have any parting shots on that particular issue, so that we delve into maybe what happened in the United States of America.
Well, maybe simply to recap that what happened in the coffee matter is not limited to coffee. It's certainly not about rationalization. It's about the regime survival. It's about weakening further the people of Uganda as his family strengthens its grip on our wealth. And you know, the sooner we wake up and smell the coffee, as the saying goes, and do something about it, yes, the consequences will be waiting for us.
Okay, thank you. I think that's enough of the issues of coffee right here in the country. I hope you have heard and learned something from what Doctor is saying. Doctor, let's delve into United States of America. They have a new president as we speak, President Donald Trump. What is your take on this gentleman ascending to the helm of the greatest country in the world as we speak?
Well, it's obviously an interesting development. Anybody who has been following the campaigns, or even right from the last election, we'll know that many people wished Trump away. Many people even didn't stop at wishing. They did everything to stop him. Yes. Including, indeed, as he has said, 2 assassination attempts. Even many people within his own party, the Republicans
Yes.
didn't wish him to come back, and they tried to stop him, even from within the party. They collapsed. And Biden, who was the first on the front line, quickly collapsed. And then Kamala Harris came in.
Yes, sir.
And so it was a very, divided, highly polarized political situation in which he arose.
Yes, sir.
He was convicted of, I don't know, 34 counts or something. He has numerous cases that are still pending. And indeed, the campaign was all about that. Can you elect a criminal? Can you elect somebody who is like this, who doesn't pay tax, who doesn't do this? He had a whole litany of things that were arranged against him.
Yes, sir.
And the polls, as happened even in the last election that he won, the polls showed that Kamala was ahead in all this, and he was ahead, and this is going to be a walkover, and there were all those endorsements of
celebrities.
Yes, including Republicans who endorsed him, and but when eventually the dice was cast, it didn't appear like there was any competition.
Yeah, he led throughout.
He won, he had almost, he was a landslide victory. So what does that talk to? It talks to, I think, a detachment of politicians from the population. Trump had a majority that was silent, but that was determined to vote for him regardless of what would be said.
Yes, sir.
And so what is it that they were voting for that the Democrats didn't seem to touch, to consider relevant, and I think those are the matters that now need to be really interrogated. First of all, Trump has been loudly campaigning on anti-immigration platform. Why are foreigners coming here? Get out. And this is a matter that I think many people relate to, may not talk about,
but they relate to it.
But they relate to it because they think that foreigners are taking away what. Also, the American economy is doing very bad. This is something that I think many people don't seem to realize. It's just like the Ugandan economy. It's really doing very, very badly.
Yes, sir.
Their infrastructure is crumbling. Their, the wealth that people use to run to share in the successes of America are no longer there. So people see people who come in as coming to take whatever little opportunity that still exists in that country.
Yes.
And so I think that is one which Trump represents, and is courageous enough to talk about where others are a bit shy.
They may feel the same way, but they won't say it.
Yes. And including, the saying, I'm going to build a wall. Others were saying, first of all, did not want it to be associated with the war, were condemning it. And eventually, they were flat-footed over it. Kamara eventually couldn't say whether he was going to build or not build. So
Okay,
his forthrightness, his assertion of, facing China and trying to recover what China has taken from them and so on.
Make America great again.
Yes, are things that, people relate with. And then the social issues, family, talking about his family thing and
Abortion
so on.
rights and things
I think those things, from what these results show, I think there are more people who have those conservative views than were imagined.
Okay.
And of course the race issue is also something that nobody talks about.
But we all know.
But they think Trump represents, so it's and for most people, again, there was a lady on the other hand being elected for the first time. Not just a lady, but a lady of color.
Exactly.
So all these issues, I think, had undertones that people were not talking to, but which were playing in favor of
Trump.
Of Trump.
Okay. Just a minute. Ugandans seem to be happy about the ascension of Trump, and not even Ugandans, but generally Africans. I heard the speaker say that now that Trump is president, the sanctions are gone. But this is a general sentiment that Africans have. But remember, this gentleman, there is a way he called our continent.
I'm not sure. I don't know whether you have sampled or you have sampled enough.
According to some of the things I've seen on social media.
To say that, Ugandans or Africans are excited
because
overall.
There is a moral card that they put to Trump, that he's bringing back sanity to America. He is, that's why you even had the speaker say that the sanctions are gone. So what do you think generally of this gentleman, who there is a way he called the African continent? But generally what I'm asking, what does it mean to us here in Africa?
Well, apart from, the I think imagination of Africans thinking that, because he was in office for 5 years before.
Yes, sir.
I don't know whether the Trump went to any part of Africa. I don't know whether real Africa occupied any significance in his agenda. He spent years even before appointing a minister for Africa. He appointed the Minister for Africa, I think maybe in the last 2 years.
Wow.
There was no minister for... So I think really Africa does not occupy a lot of attention in his scheme of things. Maybe in this term it may, but certainly in the first term it didn't. And but having said that, you see, the political right in America, the Republicans,
yes, sir,
I think have been doing much, much better in international diplomacy than the Democrats. I think Democrats have paid more attention to their domestic issues, but fare very poorly in the international affairs.
Foreign policy.
Uganda here, and the benefit we still enjoy of the American foreign policy
Yes, sir.
were benefits of the Bush administration. The PEPFAR, these global funds, the Bush administration
Yes, sir.
is the one which created those things. Obama made very, lofty speeches, but nothing, absolutely nothing.
That's what many people say. Agree with you. Yeah, on that issue.
Absolutely nothing came to Africa from the Obama administration.
African. Yes.
Or from Biden, from Biden's administration. Absolutely nothing. So, to that extent, yes, I think we can have some hope that a Republican government may pay more attention in real terms, not in
hypothesis,
not in talk, to what happens here.
Okay, sir.
And but having said that, yes, maybe we wait and see, and we don't know yet how his government is going to look like, whom he's going to appoint to the different areas that can start giving an indication of what his policy towards Africa is likely to be. So let's wait and see. But in the meantime, he's in office, and we can only say congratulations to a very, very unprecedented comeback. Yes. And as I have said, against a hell lot of odds. So it must be a sweet victory, because it was against definitely a lot of odds.
That's exactly what he said, that it feels sweet. There's nothing like a victory. Thank you so much. We have 13 minutes to end this particular show. I have a couple of comments coming through. Thank you so much. This gentleman called Wamala Charles. He says, hello, doctor. Please update us about the 36 bailed activists. Yes, I think this comes at a time when some of the people who were remanded have now been granted.
Yeah, well, thank you, Amala, for bringing up that. As I have said before on this program, this was a very despicable kind of act on the part of this junta. These were totally innocent people that had gone for a meeting in Kisumu, that were violently arrested, illegally deported back here, held in illegal detention here for a week before they appeared before court.
Yes.
Charged with a capital offense of terrorism. It's now in the 4th month, nothing, no iota of any evidence that there was any problem with these people. And there was none. There was absolutely none. It's because, you see, people in intelligence services just create situations to get money. To get money for operations, to get money for this, and to appear to their bosses that they are working so that they maybe could get some promotions or whatever. There was absolutely nothing.
Yes.
And happily, they were granted bail.
Yes, sir.
Last week on Thursday, but they were required to pay 2 million shillings cash each. So that's 72 million that had to be paid for their freedom. We have been fundraising from our members and our well-wishers. Happily, all the 72 has already been paid.
That's good.
They have come out in batches as we were raising money and paying and people coming out. The last batch should be out should have been released this morning. I am not in touch with them yet to know whether they have been released, but there was the production warrant for them to be produced today at the court to sign their documents and to be released.
But that bail is too much, doctors. So isn't it? Because you also one time complained about bail, especially when it comes to these cases. 72 million. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. It is. You see, again,
Yes,
it's the attitude of government and what Mr. Museveni has been saying to the judges. He has even been saying they shouldn't grant any bail.
I remember him saying that.
He wouldn't like anybody to be bailed because, you know, I wouldn't want to wish Mr. Museveni to be in jail at some stage. But possibly if he did, it would wake him up to what people who go to jail feel like.
Remember Kaihura? Kaihura, it woke him up. Because that's when he was saying 2 days are not enough.
Yes. Kaihura was until he was there, and you know, then they start saying, you know, in the case of Kizza Besigye, that's when they remember that we have been pleading over, because you see, bail does not take away the case from you. You are still charged. If they have evidence, you will still defend yourself.
Yes, sir.
And the court will determine whether you have a case or not.
You don't have a case.
The bail only secures your freedom so that you can defend yourself while you are still enjoying your freedom.
Because you're presumed innocent.
Absolutely. That's. But Mr. Museveni wants to use bail as a punishment. If he doesn't, if he accuses you, he punishes you. Again, you know, the same mentality of being the ultimate determinant of what happens. So in his conceptualization of criminal justice system,
Yes, sir.
if he accuses you, you should be guilty. There is no question of you should be guilty, and he should impose a punishment on you.
So you're already guilty.
He doesn't believe in this whole question of separation of powers, that his own role is of an accuser, and that's where it ends. And that then there is somebody who listens to the accused and makes a decision as to whether you are wrongfully accusing him. In his case, he is the power, is the whole power.
So we were asking this, was that the same case even when you're in the bush, or it's just after this time that he has come to such a point?
Well, you see, when we were in the bush, he was everything indeed, because he was the commander-in-chief, and it was the military which had all power of the areas that we were dealing with. So that is a different situation. But he wants that perpetuated even now. So he wouldn't like to be locked into just executive. He wants to make law. He wants to be a judge. He wants all the power unto himself. That's why I say he wants to be the king, because the king has all power. He's the judge, you know, especially if he's a king indeed, an absolute monarch. That's what That's his conceptualization of power.
Okay, thank you so much. We have 5 minutes to end this particular show. There is a question here still from the gentleman called Charles. He was continuing on the question he asked. Please update us on the 36 bailed activists, but also what is Doctor's take on the rise of Kithure Kindiki as deputy president. Okay, I think he's talking about the issues of Kenya. In just a minute or two, can you comment on that, the politics of Kenya that is here just close to us?
Well, the politics of Kenya is, I think, complicated. It's a mixture of several things. It's a mixture of tribes. Again, you know, tribal political bases. It's a mixture of money, business, you know. Again, those people who are in power are controllers of the business class, and there is a lot of intrigue around business and corruption. Not just the business, but corruption. Business and corruption that goes with it. Yes. There is also an element of foreign interest, or if you like, interference, but foreign interests play a lot of sway in the Kenyan situation.
Okay.
And so, and then, of course, there is something we don't have here, the people. Who assert themselves.
They are not sleeping.
No. Yeah. And the Gen Zs, especially, the young people who have taken on, who are partyless, fearless, you know, non-stoppable. They are still there pushing for their own interest. So it's in the milieu of these that Gachagua found himself full of, I think, the various interests, and has fallen through. And the new vice president has assumed office. But the dynamics continue to be hot. We have not seen the last of what is happening in Kenya. I think we are likely to see more changes even before the next election.
Okay, thank you so much. We shall stop there today for this particular afternoon. But before we do that, sir, give us your parting shots. And thank you so much for always coming here every Friday. We don't take it lightly, sir. Thank you.
Well, as I have said, I consider that we are in some kind of a defining moment.
Yes, sir.
In which I think all Ugandans need to take stock of what they should be doing.
Yes, sir.
To save the country from a collapse.
Yes, sir.
That can go down with all of us.
Okay, sir.
It is really a defining moment, and we are all challenged to step up and save this country.
Okay.
And if we don't, I have said there are dire consequences waiting right here for us. Okay. So thank you very much for choosing to spend some time with us on these Fridays. The most important thing you can do for us is to amplify what we say that you agree with, what we say that you don't agree with, also communicate so that we can have further conversations on this. Okay. But amplification of this conversation is highly appreciated if you do it. Thank you very much, and I wish you a good week ahead. God bless you.
All right, God bless you too, sir. That gentleman is called Dr. Kizza Besigye. We honor you, and thank you so much for coming through. And of course, I thank you, people who have been watching from the time we started, and those who sent in questions and comments. Thank you so much. Please do follow us again on our social media platforms at The Alternative Uganda, at Digital TV. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. Good afternoon, Uganda.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.